if you're avoiding and making it seem like it's cool to not be involved and attuned to your feelings or your emotional body, it's going to create down the road a lot of suffering because you're stuffing it down.
Right.
And it's gonna show up either way, whether it's an illness or, you know, an erratical state when a catalyst will make you change in a life, you know.
There's a myth in our culture which relates to that. And it's the myth that vulnerability is weakness, which isn't true. True vulnerability takes strength. To be able to feel your emotions, what sometimes can feel like a violent storm, is not for the faint of heart. It's actually the opposite. If you're running from those feelings and kind of like hiding them, you know, just drinking beers and whatever the case is, covering them up, that's actually a show of weakness, right? You're like, I can't face these emotions because if I do, then I might, you know, break down, or I might basically feel out of control, whatever the case is, because emotions can feel pretty violent and uncontrollable. And they can take you to some places that you usually don't want to go. But the fact is, when you can actually sit there and weather that storm without being moved in one way or another, just feeling the emotions without becoming them, that's true strength. Because then you have that true vulnerability. You're feeling everything, but you're not succumbing to it. It's not affecting the way you're acting. You're not becoming reactive and kind of blowing up at people. You're sitting there fully immersed in whatever it is, because all emotions are valid. You're allowed to feel any emotion that comes up. And I think it's important to first acknowledge and appreciate each emotion that comes to you before you try to change it or do anything with it. Just really feel, okay, this is what this feels like in my body right now. And just sit there with it, breathe with it, understand, okay, this is how angry feels. Like when I'm angry, or when I have anger, my shoulders become really tense, or, you know, my muscles are a little bit more contracted, whatever the case may be. And the more you sit there and you kind of breathe with it and allow that emotion to be there, you can come to the other side of it. Because, well, there's a good expression that I like where it's that you can find joy in sadness. And that's just that by feeling that sadness and fully allowing that sadness to be there and to be present with it, you can find joy underneath it. Because just the ability to feel that is something to be joyful about, the ability to feel any emotion at all. Because emotions are truly a gift, but we often don't slow ourselves down to understand what that gift is, what the emotions are trying to tell us about ourselves and about our environment. And so we don't have any actionable information from that. But if we do, if we take the time to really just look inside, be there with it, then we can see what it's teaching us about ourselves, what it might be telling us that it's time to let go of, or what it might be telling us that it's time to do differently. And then we can take that opportunity to have a more balanced approach to life, because we're not shutting off that half of ourselves.
It's time for Crab Lives.